How's it going, everybody? Yeah. Let me turn down this blown out ring light situation here. Okay. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming today. We're just gonna wait for a few minutes for everyone to come online. There's Trang. Howdy, Trang. Oh, you're looking snappy.
Hello, you're looking snappy yourself. Is my mic working? Test.
Good. Yeah, you're working. Yeah, that's great.
Party.
We're always happy with every event we do that has okay AV. We celebrate a little bit.
Oh, I remember once we did a whole entire event, and after listening back, I was like, the mic was off. Great.
Too many odds and ends. And also, again, apologies for the squeaky chair. I have not WD-40'd it, so just wanted to give you a heads up because I move a lot.
Hi, Annie, Yulitza, and Davina.
Davina, Kayonda, Parody, Lisa, Sharon, Ashley, Annie, Yali. Oh, I know who that is. Hey, Yali, Linda, hello. Shaw. Hey, yo, to you too. For those of you who are in areas with crazy weather right now, I hope you stay safe out there. I know it's a little nuts. We in California had some rain the other day, and that's a miracle. But, I can't imagine what any of you are going through who are in those states. So please stay safe, and sending you all lots of good vibes.
It's funny, Maria, when you were saying like, for those who have, bad weather, I was about to butt in and be like, come to LA. It's great.
Where it's spring all year round and you don't get to experience any seasons, and that's not a good thing.
And Ashley, thank you for making it even while taking care of your kids. I know moms, or even dads, props to you guys, because it's not an easy job. We see you.
It is not. Oh, that's a little less intense. There we go. Let's see in the comments. Yali's like all hyped up, ready to go. I'm just imagining you saying that in like a DJ voice, Yali. Oh, Yali's asking how I'm feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
I am starting to get treatment. I think they may have figured out like what maybe one of the root causes of the big thing. So, but I'm still waiting to get my appointment to see what to do next. And then, so hopefully with some treatment, I will be getting better and better. So yeah, I'm starting to move around a bit more, and so I'm keeping positive. Thanks for asking.
It's quite a journey, Maria's life. It's like today you'll get just a snippet of it, but and for any of you guys who are new or old, write in the Zoom chat. We'd love to hear about what are some of the most difficult parts of your spiritual journey or your spiritual path, spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it. I feel like there might be a common theme too.
Sorry, Trang, I was reading the comments. Did you ask a question too?
Oh, just now. If I just said if anyone wants to share in the Zoom chat, like what their hardest times of like their spiritual path or going through a spiritual awakening.
Okay, cool. Yes.
She told me.
Sabrina writes, knowing which direction to go in. I know I'm supposed to help others, but not really knowing how. Yali writes, the hardest thing was not being able to take my loved ones with me. Do you mean like your family and your loved ones along with your spiritual journey because they don't understand? Annie, realizing that not everyone believes in this path. Yes, it can be quite painful when you're trying to tell them like, look, I know this, and they just aren't open to it, especially family. Lisa, I would say getting unstuck. I feel like I get myself stuck a lot.
Yeah.
Let's on with the family again. Yes, because they don't understand and they aren't too on board. Ashley, finding time for myself to work on my gifts. Parity, being able to hold that connection with the spirit divine, whatever you name it. When you open the door to it, it feels so big that I'm still running away from it most of the time. Parity, would you say it's from fear or just more of like there's so much to learn and it's overwhelming? Both. Linda writes, I need to find out all my gifts and how to keep them working and helping others. I get so blocked. Davina, so much difficulty these last few years coming to terms with changing my view of the afterlife. Yes, my whole mindset changing, my perception of the world, finding time to enhance my gifts and become who I'm meant to be. Yeah, it's also trying to distinguish what's real and what's not. Angie G, lately for me, it's been not feeling emotionally full, finding things that spark and excite me. Yeah. To kind of see like Maria, I think a common theme here where it's like finding support when the closest people around you do not believe or care at all. Then also trying to find your path really. And Davina, which modality calls to me? And for you, it's Reiki and Tarot. Yep. Well, luckily today we're gonna have Maria share her journey because it's been quite a big one and what was like growing up for her. So before we begin, I just want to let everyone know that we are not doing readings today. Also, the stuff that we talk about may be triggering, so please watch and listen with care. We don't offer legal advice, and if there's any health issues, always be sure to see a medical professional first. So, and also here, Linda said, finding true support people that are the real deal. Yes, there are a lot of sketchy people out there or people that prey on vulnerability. And that's unfortunate because that's when most people fall to scams. And it's happened. We've had people come out to us before and saying like, oh, someone reached out to us saying it was you. And remember, psychics or tarot readers, if they're ethical, they are not going to reach out to you. They'll suggest if you want to, you book on their website, you book through their platform, or but they won't solicitate, you know. Okay, so Maria, could you start off with just kind of giving a little bit about your experience and of growing up and the struggles of what it was like?
Yes. Before I start, I want to just thank you all who, just express some of your experiences in the comments and what you're dealing with. It's so relatable. And hopefully today, you'll see that this is something that I not only relate to, but probably quite a bit of people relate to. And in the work that we do hear a lot of people also expressing these ideas. So with that, I want to let you know that, I'm glad we're here as a community and hopefully together, we can come through our individual spiritual journeys, feeling collectively safe and knowing that it is normal, even if you haven't met someone yet who's gone through your spiritual journey. It's your version of normal and what you need to do or what you need to experience. So with that, the beginning of my spiritual journey, as many of you already know, it started when I was very little. So one of my very first memories is being around 3 years old. It is literally, I think I have like 2 other memories from a little bit before that, and that's it. So one of my very first memories is paranormal. And I had like I guess it's kind of like a poltergeist type thing happen where I was playing with my dolls and a trash can in my room just started jumping up and down, like leaping up and down violently. And I just sat there and watched it like in disbelief. And then I finally, like, it hit me how bizarre that was. And I screamed and I bawled my eyes out. I remember I broke all these blood vessels in my face because I was so terrified. My mother was like trying to calm me down. And I'll never forget that memory because, I was kind of like in this meditative state, brushing my doll's hair. Right. And, when we're kids already, we already have this kind of deeper connection. It's not that connection goes away. It's just that we forget we have it. So we're still somewhat like just looped in on a more conscious level to the imagination, which is like a great vessel for things in other dimensions and where we just came from. So, little stuff may happen more when you're a kid, when you're psychic, that's pretty normal. Even people that don't end up expressing their abilities later in life may have had some paranormal stuff in childhood, because many children can access that more than adults, just the way our society is. But I think some of that's going to change as time goes on. But from there, I just ended up having tons of paranormal experiences, like constantly. Literally, I couldn't sleep. I was an insomniac from a young age because I could sense things in my room watching me all night, stuffed animals moving around, just having poltergeist stuff happening. And turns out my house was haunted. Grew up in a haunted house, as probably many of you have lived in some sort of haunted residence at some point. It just seems like maybe we're a little more drawn to those places unintentionally, subconsciously. But so yeah, I kind of got to see a variety of different things. And my parents started to become very frustrated because they didn't know what to do. And they weren't the kind of parents that were like, oh, come and just sleep in our bed. They were trying to, create an independent child. So they would, largely tell me to stay in my room. And so I just wouldn't sleep. So yeah, that's when and then I started talking to my friends at school, and a lot of them did not know what I was talking about, except for like this one girl, who I now realize is like another like psychic adult. But yeah, she was like the only one that experienced stuff like this. And some of my friends would like make fun of me because they would like make up stories that they saw ghosts. And I would get so excited because I thought, someone else is experienced a ghost, and or a spirit or whatever I thought it was back then. And turns out they were just collectively trolling me because they thought it was funny how gullible I was, because I was just excited. And sometimes I remember one time they had me going for like, I don't know, a week, maybe longer, weeks possibly, with this one story. And I was like so invested in it. But you'll get stuff like that when you're a little bit different. They're nice people. I still know them to this day, but they're just, I think they were probably wanted to understand it in their own way. So they were trying to like emulate it, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, as I got older, like, my parents leaned a little bit more into using religion as a way to help me, but I never resonated with religion. And I grew up in a very traditional culture. As many of you already know, I'm Greek, and Greeks are many times Greek Orthodox. It kind of just goes together. It's a very traditional sect of Christianity, very similar to Catholicism, but even more kind of traditional. And not overbearing necessarily, just very old, and they didn't necessarily like talk badly about paranormal stuff. But there wasn't necessarily a support in that. And so my parents would kind of turn more to like cultural not stereotypes, but superstitions that are kind of just circulate around different cultures. Oh, you must have been cursed by someone. We got to see if someone left a cursed object in our house. We have to make sure, like this kind of stuff. By the time I was, in my teen years, I was quite literally feeling like I was going crazy because every night my bed was just being shaken violently until I would wake up, and then the walls would just be being pounded on by different, I don't know what it was at the time, but knocks, pounds, screaming in my ear, scratching under my pillow for years on end, just every night. So I never knew what I was going to have. So my insomnia problem got worse, became very depressed, very anxious. I thought for sure I was going crazy. I was raised in a family that was really big on science. And so I always tried to like rationalize it and come up with like some sort of logical explanation, but I never could. So I said, the logical thing is that I'm crazy. That's the logical thing. And so I started going to psychiatrists, doctors, neurologists, just everything, my primary care, telling them, hey, I'm hallucinating. I would just say straight up, like, I think I'm hallucinating. I see dead people or people that seem like they're dead, just standing around my bed every night, you know, floating above me in my bed. I was sleep talking a ton. My dad would come in and hear me sleep talking about someone who's right there, but he couldn't see them. And I would be like, you don't see them, they're right here. And I would have hardly a recollection of this happening. So just all kinds of bizarre parasomnias, if you will. And I don't know how long you want me to go, train, before we pause or whatever, but you know.
Oh yeah, let's actually ask a question here. Did
Yeah.
you get woken up out of your sleep, or was it just when you were awake?
No, I get woken up still to this day, woken up out of my sleep, because it kind of goes like this. I'm sleeping, I'm having a dream, and I'm blissful in my dream, or maybe I'm having a nightmare, who knows? And all of a sudden I start to like, my body starts to detect a presence in the room while I'm dreaming. That kind of pulls my consciousness away from the dream. I become lucid and I'm like, there's someone in my room. So I'll open my eyes to see who's there. And lo and behold, there will usually be someone or something there. Not always human, not always standing far away, sometimes in my face, sometimes above me. I've set more boundaries so it doesn't happen as like they don't get as up in my grill, but sometimes I forget to refresh my boundaries periodically and I'll have to like, oh, I got to do it again. So yeah, I'll get woken up like out of my sleep. And it's not even related to the dream. Like whatever I see is not even close to what was in my dream. That's only happened maybe a few times where it was something was trying to communicate with me in my dream and woke me up and then was also standing, you know, by.
Victoria here asks, can you not ask them to be quiet while you sleep? My disruptions stopped when I asked, and my guides are polite.
Yes. So for me, I've had guides visit me, but a lot of times just random passerbys that are like, oh, a medium, cool. Or maybe some past life, you know, ancestors, relationships. You know, I've had extraterrestrial beings stop by. I think I've been abducted at least once, probably a few times. But it's interesting is I will set different kinds of boundaries depending on how bad it is. I don't always want them off because sometimes I think it's an interesting experience to continue to experience and learn so I can share with others the different things that are possible. But, you know, if I'm not feeling well or if I've been sleep deprived for a long time, I do like a hard boundary. I'm like, sorry, there's like zero entrance into this realm here in my sphere, and they leave me alone. But I do notice as I start to forget, like over time, the boundary does start to go back down again. So I just have to re-up it sometimes. Just as because you know, sometimes subconscious things can eat away at our boundaries too. So it's always good to just re-up once in a while. Not that it's always necessary for everyone. And Yali's asking, what do you mean like you forget? Yeah, so since it's relevant to what I just said, I'll just skip to that one real quick and we'll go back up. But basically, like I will kind of just like forget that, like it's not, maybe not forgetting, but it's like I'm not focusing on it as much. Like I'm not like remembering to like before I go to bed to be like, oh yeah, I have a boundary, it's cool, like everything's good. And so with time it kind of fades like in my mind. And then I'll remember, because usually something will wake me up and get through. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, time to re-up the boundary again. And it's not that like some people can set boundaries in perpetuity and then take them down. It's just that I think I have a lot of subconscious back and forth. It's like, oh, it would be interesting to see that. Oh, you know, and then that starts to like whittle away at my boundary because sometimes I get curious too. So, you know, it's just like that with most practices. You gotta.
And Davina says, and I bet you, Davina's not the only one here. It sounds like you're telling my childhood. Were you terrified all the time? And did you develop anxiety from it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like first of all, I'm glad that, you know, you don't feel like you're alone, because a lot of people do wonder. And that you can relate a little bit or a lot to this even. But yes, I was very scared, and it was interesting because I don't remember really telling my parents a whole lot about it. It felt like this private battle every night. And I think I didn't want my parents to be mad at me
Did you feel
or
like
just think I was
Judgment.
weak.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like the idea of strength, like being strong was a really big thing in my family. And, of course they gave emotional support, in other areas, but I think they really wanted me to be like a strong, independent person eventually. So I think I had this sense of duty to to fulfill that. And I wasn't necessarily like, I saw this and I saw that. But eventually, as I got older and my parents saw that I was physically and mentally deteriorating, and they were actually seeing poltergeist activity happening around me. And as a family observing these wild things happening, they were like, okay, it's not just in her head. Like there's something else going on because we're all seeing it too. Like, how is this possible? Right. So yeah, I was pretty much like a mess mentally, physically, emotionally. It's the whole thing.
And back then you were talking about going through seeing doctors and all that stuff. And obviously they weren't able to tell you or diagnose you. So what was that moment that would you say properly clicked for you, or that you realized you were onto something?
Well, I think it was after I started to get all of my scans back. And my doctors were always like, oh, you don't really seem like you have any kind of, you just seem very like grounded and mature. And like, I don't see you having any kind of delusional behavior. They're like, well, you just don't fit like someone who has any kind of delusional thinking, or someone who's perhaps even like has like schizophrenia or some relates schizoaffective or anything like that. And so they basically just that's kind of where I started to be like, okay, well, science is literally looking me in the dead in the eye and saying, we have never heard of anything like this. We don't know what it is. You don't have anything in your brain. Your brain scans are clear. You don't have a freaking tumor or a cyst or anything. The psychiatrists were like, oh my God, like the psychiatrist was literally, I've told the story a lot because it's kind of hilarious, but literally like frantically looked for his medical guidebook as I was telling him everything. And he was like, literally just like frantically flipping through, like it was like a cartoon. I was just like trying not to laugh, like, wow, he's really that freaked out. And he's like, this is some sort of exotic sleep disorder. I've never heard of anything like this. And he couldn't figure it out. He looked through his book and was just like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Here's some benzos to take to knock you out. We give these to people who have like severe PTSD so they don't punch their spouses in the middle of the night. Some of you may have had taken these for other things and know how strong they are. But it was like, he just went right to that, didn't even ease me into anything, any other sleep medication. So I was like, woohoo, like finally I'll get some rest, because I was still like, maybe there's still a chance that it's a sleep disorder, because, let's see if the medications work. And I'm multitasking because I apologize, Tring, but I totally forgot to put up the live from TikTok.
Oh, for your TikTok. All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a big doofus.
No, it's all right.
Okay. So anyway, so he prescribed me these medications, and I was like, oh, okay, like let's do this thing. And I quickly got addicted to these benzos because I had just never really slept my entire life. Like I was always just restless and had insomnia and deep fear my whole life. So I just needed them. But then the sad thing happened was after like, I think it was like less than a month, they just didn't work anymore. And I would get woken up. It was like 3 or 4 on the dot to the freaking like 00400300, not a second after, every single night with paranormal activity all around me. And I couldn't go back to sleep, even on heavy benzos. Like I would get a few hours of sleep. Like that stuff should have knocked me out for at least 10 hours. Right. So then I was like, this is impossible. Like, how is this still happening? And I kept taking them for a couple years until I realized like, these are just really not good to take long-term for me personally. So I got off of them. And then I ended up on some lesser pills, but those don't work either. So I eventually, after years of taking those, stopped taking them too, because I get woken up the same time almost every night. So that's kind of when I was like, okay, well, now not even the psychiatrist's, recommendations are working. Not even these hardcore meds are working. And that's when we go into the next wild leg of the journey. But I want to pause for anything Trang wants to bring up. And also I'm going to.
Yeah. No, I think we're ready.
Yes,
I'm excited for you to share the part where someone showed that you had the gifts.
Oh, yes. Okay.
What special person.
Okay. Let's put this up.
Just gonna
All
read the
right. So
comments here.
basically,
And then Monica writes, they always want to dope us up instead of figuring it out. Ashley says, OMG, the sleeping pills. And been there, done that, eventually burned the t-shirt. And I see some questions coming through and I'll get back to them. But
okay.
yeah, Maria, if you can explain that one person that finally helped you figure out what was going on.
Well, it was one, I would say this, okay, this one person was really one of a couple or few people who started to point me in the right direction. But basically, this is where like the religious revolution happened in my life, where because I had tried everything and I was not religious, and I said, there's only one thing left to try it. And my whole family was like, oh, it's a curse. It must be a generational curse because we heard someone cursed or so-and-so like way back when, like all the folk stuff started coming out, all the like, my parents were like looking around for like, if someone put like a amulet or something or some like some sort of like folk magic thing in our house, like cause a curse, or if maybe I was cursed as a baby or, whatever, right? The curse thing became big. And they, some family members had found this gorgeous like monastery in the middle of Arizona. And it's a Greek Orthodox monastery. And it's absolutely like magical place. But basically, my cousins had been there a lot and stuff. They said it was so healing. And they said, oh, there's these incredible monks that are like supernatural and like they can probably, pick up what's going on and maybe they could like remove the curse or the demons or whatever it is. Right. And at the time I was like, I'll try anything, like just make it go away, was not about to hold on to whatever this was. And so basically, I was like, okay, let's go. And so we took like a several day, stay over there. And it's really interesting because, you have to cover yourself up from head to toe, like with a headscarf and everything, because you don't want to like, tempt the monks. Right. So anyway, so that was kind of like a weird, sombering, like strange experience in and of itself. It's like super hot in the middle of the desert, but it's like this oasis. And so there's like, several levels of monks that I was being introduced to. There was like the first introductory level monk that was like the kind of the one that actually ended up making the biggest difference. But he, so he, squeezed me in to see him and we had a nice talk about everything. And what surprised me the most was that he was like, oh, it sounds like you have a gift where you could see into other realms. And I was like, what? And he was like, yes, I also have this gift. I've had it since I was a kid. I'm very much like you. And I was like, shut the front door. This freaking monk is telling me this, like this Christian monk. And he was basically just trying to teach me how to cope with it, essentially, by praying a lot and stuff. But I think hearing that from like an extremely religious person, I think he also was like before he was a monk, he was an electrical engineer, I believe. So it was kind of a cool guy, like just had this interesting experience. And basically he kind of helped, I felt like, validate that there was something going on when he, when I didn't expect that from this type of, religious, conversation. So then after that, I met another monk who then did this like exorcism on me. And then I met another monk who's like a Yoda master and could apparently teleport and stuff. Like there's stories of him like teleporting, like, and all that. And I couldn't wait to meet him. And he gave me like a blessed bracelet and did all these rituals over me. And so I literally just kind of after that became so insanely religious that I lost my personality. I became a religious robot. And I like to curse, some of you might already know, I love the F word. I just, I love to make dirty jokes. I'm just kind of a little silly. And I ended up just buttoning it up to the point where I was just like, oh, hello. And I had my prayer rosary equivalent. It's not a rosary, but it's similar. It's like a Greek Orthodox version of a rosary. And I'd never seen one before because we don't normally use those, but the monks made them. So I had this like rosary made out of like blessed olive tree wood from Jerusalem. And I was like, would not let it go. And it was like in my hands all day long or in my pocket with my hand on it, counting the beads, praying that thing 24/7. Like even when I was working, even when I was like getting ready to sleep until I passed out, I was saying this prayer that they told me. and to basically ward off things. And my friends started noting that like I was not myself anymore. I wasn't who they remembered. Like, what happened to you? Like, you're not yourself. And I remembered, I started to realize like that stuff was starting to come back, no matter how much I prayed, no matter how much I did everything right. I literally, like, by the book, like, no sins, just no sins at all. We're going to do this the right way. And this should work this time. I think this is going to be it. No, none of it worked. And that's when I was like, okay, well, what's next? And that's the next chapter that we lead into, essentially. Pause for comments and
yeah, let's ask where she'd see these monks. These were her parents took her to these monks in Arizona. And looking back, what's at your journey during that time, what's something you wish you had? Or if you could go back in time, what's something you wish you probably could have changed?
I think, gosh, I think I wish what would I have changed? I kind of start to think of some things and I'm like, well, I don't necessarily regret that, but maybe not being so skeptical. But I think skepticism is something that's always been grounding for me, like a healthy skepticism, not like, I'm trying to just disprove everything. But there was also some people who tried to help me along the way that were like psychic and stuff. And I was too deep into the religion at that time to accept their help. And I ended up becoming paranoid. So I do regret that. I became paranoid of everything that wasn't exactly what the monks told me I had to do. And that was like a whole other, like almost like a mental illness in and of itself. And I regret that level of deep fear that I had, because I completely like halted my growth, like dead in its tracks because of that. And I think also not standing my ground and like allowing myself to become something I wasn't out of fear. But then I don't know if I could have helped it because I tried everything else, so perhaps it was unavoidable.
It sounded like, I think it's obviously it was not an easy journey, but sometimes it takes a whole journey to kind of finally get yourself there to to discover it and share it with others. So like, how do you think if having safe people having someone safe to talk to back then, like for example, that monk that said that really validated your experiences, being like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, when was it where you were, what was it, that moment or phase in your life where you're like, okay, I think these are gifts and I'm going to embrace them?
Yeah. So I actually this is when I was like on my own in my leg of the journey. Actually, ironically, I did not really have a mentor. What I did instead was I said, okay, once I broke out of that whole like religious thing, and my family kind of kept trying to bring me back into that religion when I started to veer away, and kind of guilt me or like make me feel like it's part of your culture, like you can't, like, oh, it's because you don't wear your cross anymore or whatever. My dad would say like, do you still have the cross above your bed? And like, I understand that, you know what I mean? But it's like I just needed to reclaim what was mine. And I think what was blocking me was the fear of letting down the only support system that I had, even though they couldn't really help me at that time. So once I kind of like when I was in college and I was just kind of starting to allow myself to start to think differently and meet different people and start to tell people, I was starting to open up to some people, and I would just tell people, oh, I get these crazy hallucinations. Like I would always call them that. So people would know I'm not like that. People would know that I'm self-aware. I didn't want people to think that I was like some loopy like person. So I was just always like kind of trying to come from like, oh yes, I believe they're hallucinations, but they are interesting, and we would start to exchange stories. I'm like, oh, there's other people that kind of have some, not quite the same, but they can appreciate it, or they've had a paranormal experience that's like, oh, we can connect on that, and when you're in college, like people start to get a little more like open-minded. It depends where you're at, but I'm in California, so it happens. And then after that, like that, I started to actually tell some people, like when I was dating them, I would start to open up a little bit. And that was a big step for me, because that used to be like, I felt like it was revealing like I had a disease or something. Like, at what point do you tell them that you see dead people and that you can like hear their thoughts sometimes, and that you know things about them that they won't even tell you? Like, at what point is that a comfortable conversation to have when you're like trying to like get with someone, right? So that was a whole thing too that taught me how to like know I have to be with someone who accepts me. Like I cannot make that an exception whatsoever. Y'all, y'all, I would say maybe before y'all have dessert.
By the
Right?
way, did you know I see dead people too? Yeah,
Eating my
it's kind of
finger.
like, when you talk to other people and you're trying to probe maybe, or just be like, yeah, I think things happen for a reason. And if someone responds, yeah, I think the universe really does do, when they mention certain words, you're trying to being like, oh, I think this could be a spiritual
Manifest,
friend. Yeah, manifest
universe,
something like, oh
astrology.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Sag or something like that. And you're like, oh, I think this person is open to it. And that's how Marie and I actually met too. Cause I was just like, my grandpa does palm reading. And she's like, oh, well, I'm psychic. And I was like, no way. And that's how it began. So yeah. So was it over time when you're eventually opening up to people and realizing, oh, this person's open, that person's, when you start to, I guess, accept your abilities more, and just kind of like in a way grow them, because you weren't suppressing them anymore?
Yeah, but I will say this, and I tell you guys this too a lot, like when I'm describing the spiritual journey as like a line chart graph or whatever, like a waveform on a chart, it's literally like up and down and up and down, or like you regress, like you make progress, you regress, you make progress, you regress, because every time you make progress, you start to get afraid because you've like reached the precipice of the next phase. You're looking down, you're like, that's a long way down, and I just climbed all the way up here. This is scary. I'm gonna go back, you go back to your comfort zone, but maybe not all the way back, right? And it's this continuous and exhausting process of doing that. But eventually you're making leaps forward. It's just, it takes time to, get back all that you gave back from the regressions. So I would say as I got into my 20s was when I really started to, study like everything I could. And I think I discovered this blog that was like about like mediumship and like the spirit who was being channeled through all these different mediums. And I was like, oh my God, I think that is probably the biggest influence on why I was able to release the fear that I had, because I saw all these working mediums channeling the same being so accurately, and the spirit sharing what the afterlife is like, and and also just these mediums sharing their experiences. And I was like, wow, okay, it doesn't have to be scary. And I at the time was like, wow, that would be crazy to be a medium. I could never do that. I don't have that gift. Like, not understanding how mediumship worked is like, I thought these mediums were just like seeing dead people, like they're like real people right in front of them 24/7. I didn't understand the subtleties of mediumship and how differently the information comes in. So I thought, oh, I can't possibly be a medium, but I loved watching mediums. And I used to watch like Long Island Medium because that was like all that was around, you know?
Marisa
Uh,
Caputo.
yeah, Therese. And then I was like, not really. Like once I learned, but I was like, I'm not, I don't know if I'm a fan, but I appreciate the like funness of it, it lightened things up a bit. And so, yeah, lots of like little online classes I was taking, lots of YouTubing, like tons and tons of watching different mediumship styles, different psychic stuff, teaching myself tarot, getting a lot of readings, and with different types of psychics and mediums, and them all telling me, oh my God, you have a massive gift. Like you have beings all around you. You could talk to dead people if you wanted to. Like just hearing the same thing over and over and over, it was like, okay, how could they all be seeing this, And one time I was even like, maybe they're just saying that to everyone. But like, I've had friends will go to the same medium and they say something not even remotely the same thing. And I was like, okay, so maybe it is just there. It was a custom reading. Okay, fine. Because I was always skeptical still. And that also helped me a lot.
Yeah. And it sounded like you were really alone back in the day. And also I think it was also a very different time. Nowadays people are talking about more social media, and the newer generation is a bit more open to it as well. But we know that even some people in this Zoom right now have told us that they felt very alone or very lost in the process. And if you attended our past events, you'll know that we've been working on our pretty much our membership, our club, our baby that we want to bring out to the world. So here's a little bit of what is going on. And let me just do a little screen share here. With the share sound. Okay. So we've launched our Happy Healing Club today. And in general, this is like all the stuff and more that you're going to get. And it's all the events kind of like this. We're moving over to a paid platform. So in April, most of it, starting now, most of our events are going to be paid versus free, because we also have a staff and it takes a whole village to run this. And, you know, you'll get live Q&As with Maria. And we also have a shadow work healing journal, which I will show you in a bit, and all these kind of things. And so we know that everyone has, we create 3 different packages or tiers, because we know that there's just people with different backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses. So we kind of want to make it as accessible as we can to a lot of people. So I'm going to show you the first tier right here. If Canva will, there we go. So the Page of Cups package. So we decided to do themes of like tarot. And so this one is, Maria, can you explain why we chose the Page of Cups as the name? Like who this type of tier would be good for?
Yeah, so we did a little tarot theme for each of our tiers because we wanted to have something that, you know, someone who is looking for a package could relate to. And that's, you know, part of why they selected it. So the Page of Cups, you know, the pages have that kind of youthful energy. They're kind of, you know, exploring still, they're developing in development. And the cups is, you know, all about emotions, the inner depths, your inner psyche. And it's a very, just a spiritual symbol in general. And so we thought the Page of Cups was good to represent someone who's like ready to kind of fill their cup up with knowledge and ready to expand their energy, their emotions, their consciousness, and bring in that kind of excited and like new energy in this, like a new endeavor, a new project to explore in their life.
Yeah, so this theme, this tier is a lot where you'll get more. It's like I'd say healing themed. So you get access to our Reiki, breath work sessions, and like inner child shadow work workshops, and working through any of your shadow work. So for the next tier, it's the 8 of Pentacles package. And that includes everything in the first tier we just mentioned. But this one is added on top of that, those who are diving in to learn deeper. And it's all about the educational events and webinars. So like all the things that we've gotten feedback, what people want to learn more about, like you see here, karma, soulmates, afterlife, you know, palm reading, numerology. There's a whole Excel spreadsheet that we have that it wouldn't fit in this one, but and then Maria, can you explain the 8 of Pentacles theme right there, or how we came to that?
So 8 is kind of the number of, it's kind of like an endeavor, like, you know, someone who's doing an endeavor, like a business. It's a very like financial kind of number in a way, for anyone who's kind of looking to eventually, you know, gain enough knowledge to perhaps even have their own practice, or to just have that certain level of development. Pentacles is about like working the material things, so including education and hard work. And so this is where someone is ready to invest in their education and ready to invest in a longer term journey of, you know, deep learning, exploration, and even, you know, getting their return on their investment one day by perhaps, you know, using some of what they learned to generate income for themselves, and just kind of, you know, connect with that side of themselves finally.
Yeah. And if you're the type to be like, you know, I kind of just want to do this as a hobby, learning self-development and whatnot, and don't plan on doing a business out of it, that's totally okay. Because if you're like me and Maria and you're just more like into deep diving, sure, on our social media and stuff like that, you'll see that we talk about these topics, but we don't talk about part 2, 3, 4, and 5, where we go more in depth. And this is for those who are looking for that. And then finally, we have our High Priestess package. Can you explain the High Priestess for us?
Yes. So the High Priestess is very in touch with her psychic nature, she's connected to the divine in a way where she's consciously connecting to the divine. We all are already connected, but she knows how to harness that and brings in that still like loving feminine energy. But she is kind of mastering her. She's mastered her craft, her practice. And so this is for someone who's, who's maybe perhaps even already, in development, but wants to like really kick it up to the next level, and they want to just absorb everything. They want just comprehensive, give me all of it. I need to absorb it all like a sponge. And I want to just go even further. This is like, creating that mastery in your practice by then, or just even if you don't want to ever have a professional practice, if for personal reasons you want to have like personal mastery for better quality of life, just more connection, finally having that empowerment through this. That's why we chose we named this the High Priestess package.
Yeah. And it's also another group that it might be great for, and it's for you also, is if you're feeling a little bit lost in life and you kind of need you would like more of an intimate group experience. And for example, like some of the things we're going to do is like numerology or life path readings, or kind of like astrology interpretations or numerology, and just even palm reading, and just adding everything up together. So whatever path you're on, or if you need clarity in your spiritual journey, this is also for you. We also get more time with me and Maria as well. So, and you'll also be first to know so Maria is getting to the point where there's too many readings. People are asking for a lot of readings and stuff, and we want to make it just for our members. But the High Priestess package, you will be the first to know when a time slot is available. And then the package before this, which was the 8 of Pentacles, then there'll be the next people to be notified of whenever Maria's time slots are open. So, and also with the High Priestess package, you can email us your questions, or you can, through the platform, you can message us and ask like, hey, I'm going through something, or like, hey, I actually experienced this. Can you explain what happens or what it means? And we will take time to sit down and do like kind of like a mini podcast for you. We're just going more in depth to answer your questions. Like on social media, we only have like a minute or 30 seconds to answer, but when you kind of want a little bit more extra, this is the High Priestess package, is what we do for you. And also, let me see if you can see in my little screen here, but we also have a shadow work healing journal. Let me stop the share so you can see it actually.
Oh, yes.
So
Definitely.
we finally got this made, and you're the High Priestess tier, you can get a physical copy of this mailed to you. If you're in the other 2 tiers, you'll get a digital copy, but it's our shadow work self-healing journal. And it's just, we spent so many hours with the team creating it, and having like many exercises that you can go through and revisit. Also, our shadow work healing workshops, which is for any person that joins the membership, we're going to go through it so we can process it. A lot of things that happened in the past, a lot of things that happened in your inner child, and just to get support in a spiritual sense. And there's just like plenty of pages to write in the back as well. So it's our first baby physical product. So that's, and also Davina, who is in the Zoom right now, she was the one that gave us inspiration and the idea to do it. And we're like, okay, let's do it. That's a great idea. So thank you, Davina. Shout out to you. Let me go back to screen share. All right. So, this is a little preview on what the platform looks like. Here's a sneak peek in what you get in our membership and what it looks like. Inside, you'll see here on the homepage all the action that's been happening on the platform. And also you'll get access to our Mystic Vault, which is where we keep our never seen before footage, such as behind the scenes, intimate paranormal stories from psychic medium Maria Hill, meditations, and any guides we create in the future, and so much more. And you also get access to our monthly healing themed events. And what's awesome about our platform is that you can easily access it on your phone through an app and get notification reminders when an event is about to begin. Can't make it? No problem. We list all the playbacks here just for you. Also, you'll get our shadow work self-healing journal. And depending on the membership plan you choose, you also get access to our workshops and masterclasses on the many topics we offer, such as numerology, palm reading, reincarnation, soulmates, spirit guides, and so much more. You'll also get a discount on all our online courses, including our most popular ones, Develop Your Intuition and Psychic Abilities, Becoming a Certified Reiki Energy Healer. And here, as you can see, examples of events about our platform is you can get notifications on when they're about to happen, or you can turn them off and mute them. There's also our topics section, which is like a forum where you get to discuss with us and other people everything spiritual, metaphysical, including your favorite TV shows and movies. Our awesome membership is also accessible by phone, as you can see here. And here at the bottom, you can chat with other people. You can add a post if you want to. You get notifications when an event is about to happen, or if we happen to go on and pop on to a live. And you have the same access to everything all right here in the palm of your hands. And many people have revealed to us that they feel alone in all this. And one of the things we love is that you get to connect and chat one-on-one or in groups safely here with like-minded people and develop spiritual friendships. You can see and search anyone that's near you, any hosts, or see who's online now, and invite other people as well. So what are you waiting for? Click below and join our beautiful, empowering, and healing community and get the support you've been looking for. All right, so if you have any questions about the platform, any comments, feel free to put it down below in the Zoom chat. Also, we are having a deadline. So next Friday, April 8th, if you enroll in our membership, you get a chance to win a guided meditation that Maria and I will custom make, record for you. If you win, we'll ask you what's going on in your life, what blockages you're feeling, and we'll custom make it for you. So, and also Maria, the artsy fartsy person that she is, she is going to create also a Reiki charge resin piece. And that's another thing you have a chance to win at. So make sure you join before Friday, April 8th to get a chance for that. And also, right now, you saw those membership prices for the 3 different packages. In the future, it will go up because if we will eventually get to that point where we're going to be hiring even like guest speakers, special guest speakers coming on and having more content, premium content. So that's just a heads up. All right, so frequently asked questions here. And feel free if you have any other questions to put it in the chat box. And so right here, for example, what if I change my mind and want my money back? That's totally okay. The subscription is just like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, HBO, whatever you guys watch. So you guys can cancel anytime. You get billed like the same time every month. And then also, what will the money be used for? It actually is going to help pay our staff. And also there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes as well. And also a portion of your membership, we're actually every month going to give a portion of it to a charity. And actually, let me look at my notes. I know I have a charity here that we had in mind. Let's see here. So our first month's donation is actually going to World Central Kitchen. It's a nonprofit that work the front lines by providing hot meals to those in humanitarian and community crisis. So right now they're on the ground cooking and feeding and supporting those who are fleeing Ukraine because of the war. So and then if you want to upgrade or downgrade your plan, you totally can do that. If you're just like, hey, I think I'm in the bottom tier, the bottom plan, but I kind of want to jump up and learn more, totally fine. Or if you're just like, oh, like you're the top tier and you're like, you want to bump down, totally fine. You just, you can totally do that. Just like Netflix and everything else. And then finally, we also get asked a lot, do you offer readings? Does Maria offer readings? And as you saw in the previous slides, we are going to only offer limited time slots, but those time slots will be only open to members. So they're not going to be open to general public because our members get priority. Okay, so if you have any questions, there's a little QR code there. So if you want to scan, it'll take you straight to the page. But if you have any questions, let us know down in the chat.
Do you have some already? Thank you for first hearing our little presentation.
I know, I was like, I hope the sound goes through. I worked on it last night.
You guys comment. Some of the comments are so cute, like hilarious and cute. Oh my goodness. Thank you for all the positive energy, guys.
Awesome.
So, oh,
Yeah, let's I'm gonna ugly cry. Thank you. You've been on a journey with us. So it's been quite a bit. It's been quite a bit.
You guys really do inspire and inform all the decisions we make, all the things that we end up doing and how we are expanding. Each and every one of you has allowed us to do this, and your feedback and your energy is what guides us through this. So really, truly, you're all a piece of you is in all of this. So thank you.
I'm going to also circle back to an old question someone asked in the beginning that I remember. I think it's Ashley. She asked, like, how your parents, do they believe now, and do they support you now?
Say one more time.
Oh, do your parents, during your whole journey now, do your parents like believe you and support you now?
Yeah. They believe me to the point where they tell other people about me and like get excited about it. Cause I've done readings for my family where I brought through family members I didn't know even existed. And that was enough where they were like, okay, yeah. Like I brought through ancestors I literally had never heard about, and even like how they died, their lives. And they were like, okay, yeah, okay. And honestly, like it does run on both sides of my family, especially my dad's side with the mediumship stuff. It's just that everyone was too afraid to dive into it because they just kind of accepted they're going to have these weird paranormal things happening all the time. And I think religion was a comfort for them, but I was sharing that, you're not unsafe. Like if you're not like going to church all the time or lighting a candle or whatever, like it's okay. And it's natural, and it's okay to embrace the gifts. But it's not perfect. Sometimes I watch my family go back a little bit more fear comes back in. That's normal. Linda was asking a question earlier. Do you have wings? And I was like, what? Because Linda, like, I've been told this by other psychics that I have wings. So I thought that was crazy that you like asked that, because I was like, oh, that's nuts. So if that's what you meant by that, yes, I have been told I have wings. And I can feel them sometimes. So I don't know why they're there, but allegedly they're there.
Yeah, let's ask, how many years did it take you to study mediumship?
Oh, years. Just, gosh, I think over the course of like, and not to say this is what it's like for everyone, but I took about like a decade, no, a little less, like maybe like 8 years to really like to just dive deep in. And I could have probably started professionally sooner, but I was very much, I met Trang like at a corporation, working, like trying to be like a normal person. And so I was like, oh, I can't, I was okay with being a Reiki healer. And I actually, before I met Trang, was thinking about starting a Reiki business as an outlet. But I just really struggled with the mediumship, like accepting that I could do it professionally. And then we had a whole like thing where Trang encouraged me to like read for a bunch of her friends one day, just for fun, like a sleepover thing. And it was such a big success. And I read everyone quite well. And everyone was like, I would definitely come back for more readings. And we're like, okay, so all right, took the leap, I did it. And that helped me finally go forward. So if any of you are like hesitant to start professionally reading, but you've been practicing for a while, you don't need to do it for 8 years before you practice. It's more about like how intense and how dedicated you are to the practice. You can expedite that quite a bit. But reading for people that make you feel at ease, at first, just like discounted readings or just doing like some development readings. We're like, hey, I'm gonna do like one free reading a month, and this is gonna be my experimental reading where I'm gonna try new techniques. I'm gonna try new things, and I can't guarantee accuracy because I'm scooting around trying different stuff during the reading. That personally helped me a lot in my development to become more confident to become a professional medium.
And Angie G asked, will you ever discuss how to start a business in the spiritual world and also how to go about it? And I just wrote in the comments there, yes, we actually offer a course about it on actually exactly what you're asking for. But if you have any questions, feel free to also email us as well.
Monica was asking up earlier about scholarships. Trang, I think we've talked about this in the past, but I can't remember where we left off with it. Like for people who want to get deeper into this stuff, like, is there going to be a scholarship program?
I think for courses we did, but we didn't discuss it yet for the membership.
Oh, for courses, that's what it was.
Mainly because we have to figure out on the back end how the platform works to make that. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes that people don't realize. Like with our assistant, I remember 2 weeks ago, we were like, okay, what if someone wants to downgrade their platform, like their tier? What if they want to upgrade? How do we manually do it? It was just so like little tedious things, but we haven't gotten to that yet. But for courses, we have offered before because that one's just easier to do logistically.
Yeah, we basically got this platform and we were about to switch to this like next plan over. And right before we did it, they decided to just do a big upheaval and change everything and like make it substantially more expensive. So then we were like, no, and it took away a lot of our ability to do more expansive type stuff, like little custom things, but it's still a great platform. It's just, yeah, there were some extra things we've been hoping. So hopefully.
Yelitza is asking, sounds like astrology stuff. I am going to save that question for when we have an astrology event, because I'm sure we can go on asking many questions that for different topics.
But yes,
Victoria. Yeah, and Victoria in here, actually, what you see, she's actually an astrologer.
Depends what plants. Yep, exactly. There's a whole study you can go into with that. It's really fascinating. I was looking into this for quite a while just for fun. And it was helpful because it kind of teaches you about like what flavor of abilities you have, where they might come in, how they interact with other things you're meant to do in your life. Is it supposed to be professional? Is it more personal? You know, stuff like that. So yeah, you can definitely, if you go to an astrologer, they'll probably point that out. Victoria raised hand.
Just real quick, because I know we don't want to get off track, but I did want to just point out, you know, while we can see metaphysical things in a chart, there is, and this is logical, but also spiritual. There are two sides to everything. So in other words, I've read charts that look like somebody's in law enforcement, but they turn out to be a career criminal. They're very, very similar. So it has to do with free will and how you use the energy. So while someone can look like they're incredibly spiritual and metaphysical, it can also be very dogmatic religion. And so, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of interpretation that we as humans get to have with the energies we're given. So I just wanted to say that.
Wow, that was a primo nugget right there, guys. There's a lot of like sometimes even, you know, a gray area. And we see this in numerology too. For example, like 7 life paths, they can be very religious or very like not a-religious and just super or very spiritual, metaphysical. Like it can kind of take that same energy and transform it in a different direction. So yeah, we do see that. Very, very cool stuff. Love it. What's next?
I think that's it for now, but Maria, before we close out for the night, do you have any parting words about tonight's event or for anyone watching or listening in now or even later when we want to post this on YouTube?
So basically everyone has like a little custom thing they're going through, and not all of us are going to just be able to predict when we're going to be ready to feel comfortable in our level of development. And in fact, it's probably always a little unhealthy to be slightly uncomfortable because there's never an end point to where what you can achieve and what you can learn. And the most important thing is that you create a safe environment for yourself to learn in, you know, spiritually, mentally, of course, take care of your mental health throughout your journey. As I demonstrated my story, my mental health suffered substantially through all this, and having therapy and like therapists and psychiatrists that were willing to listen and not just label me as some sort of like just someone who needed to be put on like tons and tons of meds because I'm like delusional or whatever. but yeah, like they really are becoming more open-minded. Like Trang has an open-minded, has had open-minded experience in mental health. Like I have, like even my doctors are fascinated. Like they do not write me off at all. Like my rheumatologist is like very fascinated in that, that I could see dead people, and is like asking me questions about it, is like out of curiosity. So even my neurologist, like who would have thought, right? So I think as a collective consciousness is getting a little bit easier to start to open up a bit, but don't limit yourself. Don't feel like you have to pick one thing and stick to it. Like Davina mentioned earlier, it was like Reiki and tarot, and you could absolutely combine those, for example. So make your own path, make it custom, make it you, and don't let anyone tell you you can or can't do something. Just follow that deep gut instinct that we all have.
And Monica has her hand raised.
Hi.
Hey, Monica, it's so good to see
How
you.
are you? I know, I'm so excited. I caught this last minute, but I was like, oh my God, I have to go. Because Deontay and I were just talking about you, hoping that
Oh
you were
my
okay.
God.
So I have to tell him that I saw you and we're talking about you. So my question, I have an issue when I go into people's lives sometimes, because I'm so new to picking up on spirits and things like that. How do I not backseat medium, if you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
I do that all the time, and some are okay with it, and some are like, it's my territory, how dare you? You know what I mean? How do I stop that? Because I feel bad sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard sometimes, like when you see things, and and when you have that gift, that strong of a gift, it feels like sometimes you have to blurt it out, or else it's going to make you
Mhm.
like anxious, right? Or jittery, or yeah, it's going to make you feel funky. So basically I would say, for anyone who's trying to figure out their own boundaries with this, if you're in someone else's live, for example, or you're at an event watching another
Right.
medium, I would say bring a notepad with you. And this is a great chance for some private development time in your chair, or when you're sitting on the live, and write everything down, every single thing down, and then watch it unfold in front of you and see like what matched up with that medium as well, which is pretty cool. I personally am like, I've had other mediums in my lives say things, and I think it's great. I'm like, yes, go for it. But a lot of mediums are, yeah, it can be territorial sometimes. I understand, it's a craft, it's a practice, but yes, have a notepad, just scribble, draw, whatever comes to you, and that's going to help get that energy out of you, so that you're not like, oh, it feels like you're holding your pee almost.
It
Like
does too. It does. I'm just like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. I can't help it.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
and
all
that's
it is.
okay. It's a normal
Yeah,
impulse. Yeah,
it
it's
is.
a
I
normal
I
impulse.
feel bad because I've been blocked a few times because of it. And I'm
Oh
just like, I'm
no,
sorry. I'm just trying to help, but yeah,
totally.
so
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
yeah. You got this, girl. Just get yourself a nice fat notepad and a good pen.
I will. I will for sure.
Yay! Thanks
Thank
for that
you.
question.
Great question. All right. Well, I think that is a wrap. I just want to say thank you guys for all coming out, really seeing the same names and stuff coming out, or even new people. We are so excited to just continue the work that we do, and launching our baby, and also more importantly, creating a safe space for everyone to connect. Our community is quite lovely. The people aren't mean. They're not judgmental. I think that's the way we want to run it and set the tone. So yeah. So thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. And for those of you who see me disappear for a while, it is because I've been dealing with tons of doctor's appointments, busy at work. But as I continue to get stronger, you'll see more of me. So hang tight as as Trang and I and all of us together continue to go through this journey as a community. Thank you so much for everything, all of you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Sending love to you all. Bye.